Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Thank you very much, Kumari Kamatachi. Yeah. So let's continue from where we stopped. We covered some portions of chapter 11. A quick recap on the connection between chapter 10 and chapter 11, and then we will go ahead further here. If you recollect, one of the acronyms that was there for this chapter, for chapter 10, was see Krishna as the source of everything, and he's the essence of Gita, and he's also everywhere. And that's the link between chapter 10 and chapter 11, that Arjuna wants to know how can he see Krishna everywhere? And that was his request. And in response to that, Krishna shows his universal form. And where we'll come to today is, we will see two aspects of this universal form. We had alluded to it briefly last time, a little more in detail this time. And then finally, the prayers of Arjuna and his armed form. There is a four-armed form and a two-armed form. So if you'd like to know what is the essence of this chapter, it comes in there are certain key essences which I want to capture. Krishna and his manifestation as time, what it means for us in our daily lives. That's one aspect I want to touch upon today. Second is, Krishna can be seen by a particular method, and Krishna can be experienced by that particular method. He explains that here. Third, spirituality is all about harmonizing contradictions. Our binary mind and our binary education system has told us right or wrong, but there are certain phenomena in this world, both of which can happen simultaneously, or multiple of these can happen simultaneously. This is the reason why Krishna is probably going to talk about it now. It's very tough to understand, and since it is very tough to understand, Krishna is going to talk about it now, because he has already spent like close to 8, 9, 10 chapters with this, and 11th chapter he is giving. In the 11th chapter, he's going to talk a little bit more about it. So this aspect of how to take contradictions and how to actually work with contradictions is something that we are going to learn. And then a very important aspect here, which is the armed form here, the four-armed form and the two-armed form. Often this turns out to be a big source of confusion for many. So let's hear it from the horse's mouth, so to say. So let's hear it directly from Krishna, what he has to say. And this distinction is so subtle that sometimes it may be missed. And that's why it's important that we hear Bhagavad Gita from an Acharya. So one by one, let's go to learn these aspects here from this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the end of chapter 10, Krishna had said to Arjuna, Etava bahunetena kim jnatena tava Arjuna vistabhyaham idam kritsnam ekamshena sthitho jagat. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you want to know more about all my opulences, etc. But what is the need for this, O Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With just a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So the interesting thing here, which the Prabhupada is bringing out in this purpose, is that Krishna is just driving Arjuna's chariot. He is there at a particular place, he's there at a particular location in space, and he says, I pervade the entire universe. This is something that is not easy to understand, right? We should ask, our primary mind will often tell us, if he's pervading everywhere, he should just be diffused everywhere. So the reason I'm bringing out this topic again is, many weeks ago, not weeks, I think I should say months ago now. Many months ago, one participant in our morning discussion spoke about, hey, I've heard different things from different sources. That, like, I go to say, that person said, I go to Chinmaya Mission. And in Chinmaya Mission, they teach it differently. Whereas Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is coming here is a little different. How to follow, what one to follow. I understand there is difference here, but how do I take care of it? And one of the reasons for the differences here is this particular verse. When Krishna is spoken of as being pervading everywhere, in the Upanishadic parlance, it is called as Nirguna Brahman. And there's also another aspect of Krishna called as Saguna Brahman. Saguna and Nirguna. Nirguna, some people think about it as Krishna who does not have any attributes. Like, say, for example, if a person is called as, you're beautiful, you're handsome, you're intelligent, you're young, you are a smooth talker, you're cruel, all these are attributes of a person. If all these attributes are present, or any one attribute is present, it's the person with guna. And the common understanding of nirguna is a person who does not have any of these attributes. Yes. So a person who, so the word nirguna is commonly understood by many as no attributes. So when this verse comes here, that he pervades and supports the entire universe, there are those who like that nirguna aspect of the absolute truth. And this is, this is what it is. The Bhagavad Gita says Krishna doesn't have any attributes. He's just like a diffused energy. That's one way to look at it. And towards the end of this chapter, Krishna is also going to speak about his four-armed form and his two-armed form. Then how do you reconcile it? So traditionally, people are used to saying either it is this or that. And how do they reconcile it? They say that the Saguna Brahman is a stepping stone towards having the Nirguna Brahman or experiencing the Nirguna Brahman. But that is not what the Vaishnava Acharyas say. They say, just like President of India, he may be visiting the armed forces, he may be taking a guard of honor, and as he takes the guard of honor, he's in a very severe, he's in a very serious disposition. He's looking at his armed forces very carefully. And this very same president, when he's brought to his home, he may have a grandson or a granddaughter, and the grandson or the granddaughter would sit on top of would sit on the shoulders of the president and ask the president, come on, you please walk like a dog or a horse and basically make me happy. and the president would accept it, and he would just fulfill that wish of his grandson or granddaughter. So that very same person who is the ruler of the country also becomes a person who's ruled by somebody else. He has two aspects. In the same way, the Saguna and the Nirguna aspects are both present simultaneously. So what Krishna is speaking about here is the one of this, which is the Nirguna Brahman aspect, and slowly he's going to bring about the Saguna Brahman aspect. So that's where we see dichotomy, or we see contradictions, and we learn how to acknowledge it. And the reason, one more reason why I'm bringing up this aspect of differences and accepting differences is that it is not just about the differences in the different aspects of Krishna, or the aspects of the absolute truth. In the world around us too, we see people around us, and all of them have shades of gray. It is not like somebody is a binary 1, 0, good, bad, etc. There are people who have certain good qualities, and there are people who have, and the same person also may have qualities which are not so good. How do we deal with them? In one of the previous verses, one of the verses that we discussed some time ago, in which Kumarika Mataji has been discussing, had discussed, I think at some point in time, Apichet Sudra Charo Bhajate Mam Ananyapat. Even if a person were to be considered the worst kind of a person, if he has some appreciation and mood of service to Krishna or Krishna's devotees, it's still considered great. Does it mean that we condone criminal behavior? No, we don't condone criminal behavior. Just a moment. So, while we don't condone criminal behavior, we also learn how to work and live with people who are less than perfect. And while we work and live with people who are less than perfect, we also have to learn how to handle our own selves when we are less than perfect. We all have a great objective around us, saying, I have to be the person who knows scriptures perfectly well, or I should be a person in my office whom people can say, he's the go-to man, he knows everything perfectly. We want perfection, but the very nature of a Jivatma is that he is Anu. Anu means he is finite. So when a Jivatma is finite and is expecting something to be infinite, is it possible? No. So these verses which talk about these contradictions, or these series of verses which bring about contradictory themes, help us to absorb within ourselves the different facets of the absolute truth, to appreciate the different facets of people around us, and to even live with our own selves. We all who have different facets in themselves. We may be a father, we may be a person who works in an organization, we may be a person in the society, and we have to acknowledge that in some places, sometimes we may be in one way, in some places differently. And the basis for being different in different places should be on what the Bhagavad Gita teaches, which is, what is that service which will help Krishna become pleased with me? Let me repeat. The basis on which we deal with others should be, what is it that will make Krishna pleased with me? Depending on that, we can be having a serious disposition, we can be having a cheerful disposition, we can be as we are, or we may have to show something else to others. Why? It is just a mood of service. This is quite often, this happened with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada had a samadhi on November 14th, 1977. In a month's time or so, approximately. This year it's November 8th. The Tithi for his samadhi falls on November the 8th. We'll be celebrating the disappearance pastime of Srila Prabhupada. And it so happened that Srila Prabhupada never wanted to leave leave Vrindavan. He was staying in Vrindavan. But his guru's order was to give the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to the entire world. And so when he finally left, Krishna arranged for him that because he fulfilled the wish of his spiritual master, Krishna arranged it personally that he became ill and he finally came to India and he finally landed in Bombay. And when he was in Bombay, his health condition deteriorated even further. And over a period of time, he was just bones. The flesh had gone. There was just muscles, a little few muscles and bones that were visible in his body. And he could hardly speak. He would hardly eat. Then he called some of his disciples, and especially one of his disciples, and said, "You all decide what should happen. Should I stay here?" And he wanted to stay because in Bombay, there's an area called Juhu. In Juhu, against all odds, he was trying to get a temple for Radha and Krishna. And the temple opening was supposed to happen a month later. And Srila Prabhupada said, "I don't know whether I'll even stay for a month. So should I stay here? And the weather here is not good here. Should I stay here or should I go to Vrindavan? You please let me know." Here was a Jagat Guru who had 5,000 plus disciples. And these 5,000 plus disciples depended on the instruction of their Guru. But now the Guru was asking them, or some of them at least, "What should I do?" You see different moods of the very same person. You tell me what I should do. Someday, we all will be asked to take decisions for those who are very well senior to us in spirituality, in age, in intelligence, etc. How do we deal with it? We deal with it in the mood of service. So what did Srila Prabhupada's disciples do? They said, "Srila Prabhupada, if you go to Vrindavan, you'll be happy. And if you stay here, you are going to inaugurate a temple here, which you wanted to intently do it. But I believe if you're healthy, you can do it later too. So we can postpone the inauguration date, etc. But we need you to be with us. We need you to be happy with Krishna Balaram, because Srila Prabhupada was the one who inaugurated the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, until Prabhupada established the temple for ISKCON in Vrindavan, most of the temples were that of Krishna or Radha and Krishna. There is one place which is called Ram Ghat, where there's the temple of Balaram, but there was no temple for Krishna and Balaram. And his own internal mood that Srila Prabhupada wanted to glorify Lord Balaram, because it was on the empowerment given by Lord Balaram that he was able to act for the pleasure of his spiritual master. So when he built the temple, Lord Balaram arranged for it that the right intelligence came to his disciples and they brought him to Vrindavan. So that's how you see these verses here. They have immense application in our own lives. So coming back to this verse, after Krishna told this to Arjuna, Arjuna asked a question. "By my hearing the instructions, you have kindly given me about this most confidential spiritual subjects, and my illusion has been dispelled." Then he says, "I have also heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories, Mahatmyam, your glories. And what kind of glories are these? They are avyayam, they are inexhaustible." Okay. So then he says, this is a key thing which a few verses from here is where we stopped last time. But a key point here is Arjuna is saying, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered the cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. So since we are here in this chapter speaking about the Vishwarupa form, some clarifications are in order. There is a common painting of a Vishwarupa form. Does that capture the Vishwarupa form? No. It's a painting And that is what it is to it. You can't do a lot in a painting. It has to be experienced. And as you will hear shortly from Krishna, he said, nobody else has seen this before. So this is that kind of a form. Number one. Number two, this cosmic manifestation that is being described here is the form where, just a minute, the form where the entire universe gets into the body of the absolute truth at the time of a pralaya. A pralaya, there are various kinds of pralayas that happen. And at the end of a day of Brahma, all the living entities come inside the body of Lord Mahavishnu. So the form which Arjuna is asking here is that cosmic manifestation. I want to see this. But Krishna gives a bonus offer, buy one, get one free. So the bonus offer that he gives is, he makes Arjuna see this cosmic manifestation. He also makes him see the Kala Rupa. The Kala Rupa is a different form of the absolute truth, where the form of time, how living entities are moving around in this world and what happens to them. So Krishna helps Arjuna to see both of them. Right? So having seen this, having said this, in text number 4, Arjuna tells Krishna, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, kindly show me that universal, unlimited universal self. Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Prabhupada gets the meaning, it goes deeper into the meaning. Manyase yadi tat shakyam maya drashtum iti prabho. If you deem it appropriate, if you think I can see it, please help show me that form of the cosmic form of yours. Because in the 10th chapter already, Krishna has said that he's the absolute truth. And he has been saying that from the past few chapters. And Arjuna's conviction is higher. Not that he didn't know about it, but it's even more higher. And on top of it, his curiosity has increased. And this is something which is very important in our own lives. For us to progress in spirituality, the fire of curiosity should be kindled. Srila Prabhupada has often said, Krishna consciousness is a sort of cultivation. And likewise, to have this cultivation, we should have the curiosity of what is it that Krishna wants me to know? What is it about the world that Krishna wants me to know? How is it that I don't just stay at the platform of knowledge, but I get into the platform of acting in relationship with Krishna? Has he told me anything about it? Can I learn anything about it from the life of Acharyas? All of those come under this category of this curiosity. And to have that curiosity, or to act on that curious behavior, it is not that one depends on one's own ability. Like Arjuna, we plead Krishna, Manyase yadi tat shakyam. If you think it is possible, and whenever it is possible, you please let me know. Let it be on your own terms. I am willing to wait for the mercy that you can give it to me. This is the mood of a devotee. Okay. And so Srila Prabhupada in his purport talks about it accordingly. If he likes, that is, if Krishna likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engage in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna. When we talk about mental speculation, it is just an adjustment of the mind. I understand so much from the books or scriptures, and I understand something else from my intelligence. I put 2 + 2 together, make it 4. That's not what Krishna is talking about. So then, verse number 5 onwards. We covered a portion of this too last time. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashyame Partha Rupani Shataso Atasahasrashaha Nana Vidhani Devyani Nana Varna Krutini Cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine and multicolored forms." Right? So, if you look at it, in verse 5, Krishna or Bhagavan is saying, "You see my opulences, Pashame Partha Rupani." And what does he say here? What kind of opulences? You see here the different manifestations of Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Ashwini Kumaras, and all other demigods here. Right? So all of these devatas, you can see all of them. The Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Ashwini Kumaras, etc. And you have never seen these wonderful things before. And I'm going to make you see this. So what was asked of them was what was asked from Krishna was only to show me the cosmic manifestation form. But Arjuna is now being given a form which is not just the cosmic manifestation, but something even more wonderful, which is the Kala Rupa also that is going to come into picture. And not just Kala Rupa. There's going to be the four-handed and the two-handed form too, and you'll see all of them one by one. I think I'm low on bandwidth. Let me switch off my video. I'm on my mobile data today. My internet is not working. My broadband connection is not working. Okay. So then verse number 7. Krishna saying, "This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future." You see here that Krishna apprehends what is it that Arjuna may even want to see, even though he has not asked for it. And in this, there is one secret of devotional service. A secret of devotional service is that we don't act as per orders. We go beyond that. We identify what else I can do. So in the language of Srila Prabhupada, he would often say, "Do the needful." Just like Krishna is trying to figure out, oh, Arjuna is asking me this question. Maybe he may not just want this, he may want something more. Let me open up myself to it fully. In the same way, in our attitude of service, if somebody asks us for some help, we should think, in what ways can I serve a person so that their anxiety is decreased fully, so that they can focus on other things and I can be the servant. And even before asking, we should go ahead and volunteer ourselves. This is the mood that we learn from Krishna from this verse here. Then, but to see this universal form, Krishna says, you cannot see me with your present eyes. He says, "Na tumam shakyase drashtum anenaiva sva chakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamaishwaram." So, na tu mam shakyase drashtum. It is not possible to drashtum, to see me with your sva chakshusha, with your own eyes. Divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamaishwaram. You want to see my yoga maishwaram, my mystic opulence? Divyam dadami te chakshuhu. I shall give you transcendental. Divyam means transcendental. Chakshuhu. I will give you. Dadami is what he's saying here. This is also one of the crucial points for us to understand. Many times, practitioners of spirituality have a question that, is it possible for me to see the Supreme Lord with my own eyes? And if you take this particular verse in itself, it seems like, no, not with our eyes, this current eyes, we need a different eyes. And sometimes people say that the spiritual master will touch my head, and as soon as I touch, I will get some electricity. With that electricity, I'll be able to see. It's not actually like that. It's a little different. The Divyam Chakshuhu here means that a transcendental vision is given not by means of some physically imparting some power. When the Supreme Lord is pleased with our service, when he is pleased with our mood, then he reveals himself to us. And for that, just like there is a thick blackout curtain, we can't see anything on the other side of the room. And if we remove that blackout curtain, then we can see what's on the other side of the room, or it may be a wall or something like that. In the same way, the power to open that blackout curtain, that state of ignorance which we all are in, is only with the absolute truth. Our role is to show to the Supreme Lord our eagerness to receive mercy from him. His role is to open that curtain so that we can not just have his vision, but we can also experience the fullness of our spiritual existence. So, okay, let me put it differently. Quite often we blame ourselves, saying that, hey, I have put so much effort, I expected something to happen in my life, either in my work, in my home, in my family, or even in spirituality. But primarily, in the case of spiritual life, the experience that we get is solely dependent on the mercy of Krishna. And the mercy of Krishna depends upon the mercy of Krishna's devotees. I think I'm deviating here, but maybe I should say this. It's a very interesting way to understand about it. Let me ask devotees here. How many of you know about Daksha, Sati, and Sati's next life as Parvati? Anybody here who doesn't know about it, please open up here. Please let me know. Everybody knows then? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, good. So, Shweta Mataji, you are originally from Varanasi, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, this is something which you may have a feeling for because it's from your native place. Tulsidas, the author of the Ramcharitmanas, he gave in his Ramcharitmanas in, I think it's in Awadhi, it's not even Hindi, it's Awadhi language. And of course, I haven't read the original because I don't know Awadhi and I know very less of Hindi also. So when he composed this Ramcharitmanas, he gave a background of how he got the Divya Chakshu or the transcendental vision to experience the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra so that he can write it. So he says that formerly it so happened that Lord Shiva was speaking about the Ramayana to his wife Sati. So Sati was his wife at that point in time. And then after some time, it so happened that he was in meditation, he was in rapt meditation, and he was experiencing the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And Sati saw that her husband was in ecstasy. Lord Shiva was in ecstasy. Who are you meditating upon? Sati asked. He said, yes, I'm meditating upon Lord Ramachandra. His pastimes are so exquisite, his beauty is so exquisite, his dealings are so exquisite. I'm just experiencing it by the mercy of the absolute truth. And then Sati said, I too want to see it. Can you show it to me? And Lord Shiva said, no, not yet. You're not yet ready for it. When Lord Ramachandra makes you ready for it, that time you can have a vision. And that time, Sati got very angry. And not angry, she became very sad. She was in a very morose mood. At the same time, it so happened that Daksha, the father of Sati, was conducting a big sacrifice, etc. And he had invited everybody, but he had not invited Sati and he had not invited his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, because he didn't feel that Lord Shiva was worthy of that respect. So, for those of you who know the rest of the pastime, Sati does not heed to the words of Lord Shiva and still goes to the sacrifice of Daksha. Why? She goes because she was feeling intense eagerness to see Lord Ramachandra, but her husband has said, oh, I'm not yet qualified for it. Why is it so? And at that point in time, so happened, I mean, there are some more details which we can go some other day if required. When she goes to Daksha Yajna, Daksha humiliates Lord Shiva. And that time Sati feels, on one side, it is that Lord Shiva is actually experiencing the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. He is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Lord. And yet my father is unable to recognize it. And just before she left, there was some squabble or something between Lord Shiva and her. And Lord Shiva effectively said, no, you cannot have the vision of Lord Rama. It was like, in this body you cannot see, is what Lord Shiva had told Sati. And she felt, what is the use of living in this body? Number one, the greatest devotee of the Supreme Lord is being basically insulted. And then even after that, even if I go back, I am not being accepted because I cannot experience that which my husband is experiencing, the love of Lord Ramachandra. And so that was the reason why she gave up her body in the sacrificial fire of Daksha. And so it is said that Lord Shiva is personally present in Varanasi, that whoever is passing away, he is going to speak about Lord Ramachandra into their ears and he'll help them out. So that's the extent to which the Supreme Lord gives the power to his devotee, that you have the power to give me to others. So right here, Krishna is personally giving the power to Arjuna in this verse. And likewise, he also bestows this power on his devotees, on his very dear devotees, to give the vision or give service to others. And therefore, we respect great devotees of the Supreme Lord very much. We respect Lord Shiva. We respect all the acharyas. I mean to say bona fide acharyas. There are a lot of bogus acharyas. That's a different thing altogether. But this divine eyes that Krishna is giving to Arjuna is very important, that we have to beg the mercy of acharyas in our life by serving them with all the humility that we can muster and with all the eagerness that we can muster. Then we will also get this divine eyes one day by their mercy. Okay. So having said that, the summary for the next few verses. In verse number 10 to 19, Arjuna will witness Krishna's universal form of opulences and how he pervades this entire world. And verse 20 onwards, he sees the Kala Rupa. The Kala Rupa is a form of time. Okay. Let me come to this here. What did Arjuna see? Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Aneka Adbhuta Dharshanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divyan Ekodyatha Yudam, Divya Malyam Bharadharam, Divya Gandhanulepanam, Sarvascharyamayam Devam, Anantam Vishwato Mukham. Arjuna, he saw in that universal form unlimited power. Just a moment. He saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. And he saw a form of the Supreme Lord decorated with many celestial ornaments, and he had many divine upraised weapons. Okay. Next, verse number 12. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapad Uttitha Yadi Bhasadrishi Sasya Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha. Even if thousands and hundreds of suns were to rise, that effulgence that was coming from that Supreme Lord would still conquer all of that. He was so radiant. And when something is so radiant, can we really see with our own eyes? We can't even see the sun, although we are far away from the sun. I mean, we can't even make our eyes focus on the sun. Just imagine hundreds and thousands of suns. That is the kind of effulgence that was there. And Arjuna was able to see this particular cosmic manifestation of the absolute truth, or the cosmic form. This is not the final form. This is just a particular form here because of the Divyam vision that was given to him. And what did he see in that cosmic form? He saw in that universal form of the Lord unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place. For those of you who come from some Vedic, just a minute, let me see. Harsha Prabhu, I'm sorry, I'm seeing your message just now. You don't know the pastime of Daksha and Sati. We will cover it once. We'll go in detail. After the Bhagavad Gita, we'll cover it in detail. Okay, we'll take care of that someday. Arjuna could see in a universal form unlimited expansions of the universe. And those who have heard the Purusha Sukta prayers, you might have heard it. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabomim Vishvato Britva Atyatishta Dashangulam. He has Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. He has thousands of heads. Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. He's there everywhere. Sabomim Vishvato Britva Atyatishta Dashangulam. He says, although he's there everywhere, he's still the size of a small person who's there as a super soul. Again, contradictions present, and we have to see the Supreme Lord with contradictions here. That same thing, because the Gita is called as a Gita Upanishad, that same Upanishad and the Vedic truths are also present in the Bhagavad Gita here. Okay. And then text 40. What happens to Arjuna when he sees this? It's easy for us to just say, but for him, when he sees, like imagine like a nuclear explosion coming in front of you. What would happen to you? You'd be shocked. And this is what is happening to Arjuna. He becomes Tatasa Vismaya Vista Krishna Romo Dhananjayaha Vismaya Avishtaha. He's Vismaya, he's overwhelmed with wonder. And Krishna Roma. Roma means the hairs on the body, and Krishna Roma, the hairs are standing on end. And being completely bewildered and astonished, Arjuna bowed his head and he offered obeisances and began to pray. What did he say? That's the next section here. It's 4:53. Can I go to 5:15 today? Is it okay? Or you all have, it's Sunday evening, you all have to go somewhere. Anybody here, please let me know. You would have want to leave. Okay, Harsha Prabhu is fine. Oh no, I think you told it for an earlier thing that I said. Harsha Prabhu, you're okay with fine, okay, it's fine. Shweta Mataji and others?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Somshekar Prabhu, is it okay? You want
Prabhu, I may leave in about 15 minutes, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll try my best to complete as much as possible. So what were Arjuna's realizations on seeing this universal form of the Supreme Lord, this Vishwarupa? Arjuna said, I can see assembled in your body all the Devatas and various other living entities. So like that, Arjuna speaks all these verses from verse 15 to 18. And then 19 to 25 onwards, Arjuna has this huge description of the Kala Rupa, the form of time, and then he also sees the outcome of the war. And what is this universal form of the Supreme Lord? This universal form is the one where you see all the Devatas and all the other living entities are already in his body. And when does this happen? This is the cosmic form which happens when the creation is unfolded during the end of a day of Brahma and before the next day of Brahma, and also towards the end of life of Brahma. This is what happens. So this particular form is what Arjuna saw at this point in time here. And he also saw the relationship of all the other living entities. Lord Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, Lord Shiva, and all the sages and divine serpents. And then verse 16, he also saw that I see in your body many, many arms, many bellies, mouths, etc. And basically he's seeing that the absolute truth is unlimited, right? But he also says one thing. Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides. It is very difficult for me to see. And he also says, because I see this particular form which nobody can have it, You are the actual supreme primal objective. How does he say? Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam tvam avyaya shashvata dharma kopta sanatanas purusho mato me. According to me, this is my opinion, mato me, according to my opinion, Arjuna is saying, Sanatanas Tvam Purusho. You are the eternal Purusha. You are the absolute truth. You are the original personality of Godhead. And he gives all the other qualities of the absolute truth. So Srila Prabhupada, whenever somebody would say, such and such a person is calling himself to be the Supreme Lord, or he would say, somebody else is saying that X and X, Y, or Z is the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada's question would often be, who is he to say? We have great devotees like Arjuna already telling Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It is not that I, on the basis of my strength, that I will say so and so is the Supreme Lord. We need to go, we need to acknowledge somebody is the Supreme Lord on the basis of other qualified persons. And here, Arjuna is that qualified person here. Okay. So then, Arjuna goes further in expressing this form of the Supreme Lord, and we are going to gradually come to a transition here. We'll see that. He says, you are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms. The sun and moon are your eyes. If somebody remembers the Purusha Sukta, there you would have heard, Chandrama manaso jatas chakshos suryo ajayatha mukhadindrascha nischa pranad vayurajayatha. So it's all those very same Vedic verses being realized by Arjuna here. The sun and the Chandrama manaso jatas chakshos suryo ajayatha. From his eyes, the Surya has come. And just like in the similar way, when the sun and the moon are his eyes, whether we do something during the daytime or whether we do something during the nighttime, the Supreme Lord knows about it perfectly. We try to hide from him, or we try to hide from the law and do it, but nothing can escape. And therefore, the law of karma is very stringent. And not just the law of karma. Even if we try to do something beneficial for others, that is also recorded. If we try to do something beneficial for the Supreme Lord, that is recorded. Forget doing it. Even if we have an intention to do it, that is also recorded. So in Kali Yuga, there is this big leeway that is given. We are punished only for the activities that for the wrong activities or for the harmful activities that we commit. But we are not punished for the harmful activities that we think of in our mind. In the previous Yuga, it was sinful even to think about it in the mind itself. And therefore, people used to get karmic reactions for it. In Kali Yuga, if we think something like, say, I think bad about somebody, or somebody wants to kill, murder somebody, they are not punished, even by the laws of karma. Forget the laws of the government. But in contrast, it so happens that in this Kali Yuga, even if I think that let me be of some help to a devotee, let me serve the Supreme Lord, let me do anything, if we even have thought about the Supreme Lord in relation to other devotees, if there is a mood of service in it, we are rewarded for it. Right? So that's the unique advantage of Kali Yuga. It's like for those who get less than passing marks, you give some grace marks and make them pass. We all fall in that category in Kali Yuga. We are the grace mark students. There is not much that can be expected from us. So even if you think about it, I will give you grace marks and make you pass. That's how lenient the Supreme Lord is here with us. Okay. So this is the verse 19. There is no origin, middle, or end. And he's seeing in verse number 20, he's spread throughout. And not just that, in verse 21, he says, all the devatas are surrendering before him. Sura Sangaha. Suras are the devatas, or the sons of Aditi and read by the Lord, Aditya, etc. The groups of the demigods, they are all, what are they doing? They are all surrendering unto him, and some of them are entering into you. Some of them are very much afraid, and they're offering prayers with folded hands. And the sages are all saying, hey, all peace, and they're praying to you. And so the first form that he saw was all the devatas were there in the body. But now the form that he is seeing here is the devatas are outside and they are praying. It is a slightly different form. And so Arjuna is standing in one place, he's seeing two different forms here, right? The first form was like a cosmic manifestation, and this is a different form. Everybody is in wonder here, seeing this form of the Supreme Lord. And then all the planets with their demigods, that is the ruler of their respective planets, they are disturbed at seeing your great form. And you are having a terrible teeth, and I am disturbed on seeing it. Okay. Arjuna also says, "Oh, all-pervading Vishnu." See, I mean, the word he uses is Vishnu. Dhritim na vindami samam cha Vishnu. Oh, all-pervading Vishnu. Seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, your glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. Please. And he pleads now. I mean, like it's like "Aa bel mujhe maar," like what you tell in Hindi, right? In that way, he wanted to see this universal form, and suddenly he's not able to maintain his composure on seeing this form. I can't bear it. This is not for me. So he says, "Oh Lord of Lords, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions, I am bewildered." So in verse number 26 to 29, some other aspects of what is happening in this particular form of absolute truth is coming out. What is it? He's seeing all these kings like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, all of them are entering into fearful mouths, and some of them are being smashed by his teeth. But is this Krishna happening here? Is Krishna so cruel? Does he want them to die like this? We are right now in the midst of some geopolitical happenings where those who don't follow a particular religion are killed. Their places of worship are desecrated and destroyed. Is Krishna also like that? Is this what the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us? No. Krishna is not here in terms of a sectarian vision that you follow me or you follow a particular religion, everything is fine, otherwise your head will be smashed between my teeth. No. As Krishna will take in a few verses, he's going to say, "This is my form as time." So time is an abstract notion for us, but this time itself comes up with this personal form in a way in which Arjuna could visualize. So if you can recollect what I spoke about 1 month ago, this universal form of the absolute truth or this form as time is not a eternally present form. It is a particular form to make a person understand certain things. It is just like, like you can come up with a PowerPoint, you can come up with some imagery, you can show some animation and convince some people about some things. But it is just that, it's an animation, and that's where it is. That is what Krishna is telling about here. So that's what Krishna is showing, and he's going to come back here. So before I come to it, let's see what Arjuna says. "I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. And covering all the universe with your effulgence, you're manifest with terrible scorching rays." And now Arjuna is confused. Verse 31, he says, "Please tell me, who are you? I want to know about you. I want to know what your mission is." Right? Ko Bhavan Ugra Rupo. I mean, I had not seen you. This is not the Ugra Rupa Krishna that I knew of. Who are you, this Ugra Rupa person? Vijnatum Ichchami. I want to know about it. Tava Pravritim. I want to know your mission. Why are you in this form here? I asked one thing, now you have come to be something else. What is this all about? Then Krishna says, "Kalo asmi lokakshaya krit pravriddho." I am time. Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds. He's the ultimate destroyer. And I have come here to destroy all people. So this manifestational form, which is the second part which is shown, is the Kala Rupa. And the important thing about this Kala Rupa is for us to know that many times we conduct our life keeping ourselves at the center of everything. That person should please me. My husband should say this to me. My son should say this to me. My boss should say this to me. They should all make me happy. And when I'm happy, I will do something for them. I want to do something for my house, for my family. It's me, 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 me. Finally, it's all about me. And what happens to it? Time, over a period of time, gradually dissolves all of our big activities. There's only the eternal activities which remain. The rest of the activities that we try to do, all of them get destroyed by time. And Krishna says, this is, forget small people like us here. He's going to speak about what is going to happen to some of the greatest warriors like Bhishma and Drona. Everybody is going to be destroyed. Everybody thinks that by dint of their tapasya or by dint of some sacrifice that they have done, they have achieved something. Because in this world, to achieve something, you have to sacrifice. If I have to get a good job, I may have to study well. If I have to progress in a job, then I'll have to put a lot of time there. If I have to keep my children happy, I would have to cook something nice for them, be around them. There's a lot of sacrifice involved in every activity. And then we want the results of those activities to stay forever. But note for certain, time, I am, Krishna says, in this world, nothing is meant to be permanent. Everything is going to be destroyed. And I have come here to destroy all people. And he says, with the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. And therefore, Arjuna, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies. They are already put to death by my arrangement, O Savyasachi, and you just be an instrument in the fight. So this is also an important aspect that we have to learn from the Bhagavad Gita. That when everything is impermanent, what is it that we should work for? We should work for the mission of the Supreme Lord. And what is the mission of the Supreme Lord? The mission of the Supreme Lord is that you, me, and everybody in this world are reinstated in our spiritual life. We have to fight just so that we can conquer our inner nature and surrender to the absolute truth. And how do we conquer? By crying in front of Krishna. It's a different kind. That's all that we have to do here. If we do that inner fight and play our part in helping others in this world, then Krishna will recognize us. How? That is for between us and him in our final spiritual exchange. That is what, that is the aspect which does not get dissolved or which is not destroyed. That is the akarma portion. The rest are all the karmic portions here. So we have to be an instrument in being one Jivatma who will help oneself and others in this world to go back to Krishna. And the first step to do that is one has to be a sincere disciple of a guru so that one knows how to act and learn from the guru. So this is very important. Prepare to fight and win glory. Tasmatam uttishta yasho labasva. Krishna is giving glory to all of us. We just have to rise up to the moment. This life is not meant for wasting time. This life is not meant for getting petty gains. This life is not meant for saying India is great or Pakistan is great or Bangladesh is great. No. There is the kingdom of God which is waiting for us, which is there right in front of us. It's just out of our ignorance we are unable to see. Let us work towards it. Text 33. And then text 34, he says, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. This is the mood with which Srila Prabhupada went to the West. That Krishna is making all the arrangements. I have to just follow it. Why? Because my spiritual master wanted something, and Krishna, being his dear relative, being a dear associate of my spiritual master, he will fulfill whatever my spiritual master wants. I have to just go and do it. That's it. Then the rest is up to Krishna. That's the way in which we have to conduct our life. That's the way we apply these principles in the 11th chapter in our own lives. And yeah, 5 more minutes, please. I'll come to the 2 important aspects here. So after hearing all of this from Krishna, Arjuna said in a faltering voice, let me come to that particular verse alone. He says, "O great one, you are greater than Brahma, the original creator. Why then should they not offer the respectful obeisance unto you? O limitless one, the God of gods." He's a Devesha, he's the Isha, or the Lord of all the Devatas. He's the refuge of the universe, Jagat Nivasa. You are the invisible source. He praises Krishna in this way. And then he says, let me come to that verse. He praises obeisances. There are different prayers here. I'd like to encourage all of you to please go home. Please, while you're at home, go through these prayers of Arjuna in the 11th chapter. Very wonderful verses. I'm not covering them due to lack of time, but I want to come something here. Yeah, text number 45, the last few verses. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, Adrishta Purvam Vrishito Asmi Drishtva. I'm gladdened. Bhayena cha yatitam manome. I am gladdened, but at the same time, I am fearful. Bhayena cha pravyatitam manome. My mind is full of fear. Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. So if you can bestow your grace upon me, you please show me your form as the personality of Godhead. So what does it mean? This universal form, it is a cosmic manifestation, as well as a Kala Rupa. They are not the original form of the personality of Godhead. They are meant to make us understand some things. Okay. So he says, Arjuna actually says, Kirtinam gadinam chakra hastam ichhamitum drashtum aham tateva teneva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishwamukte. He says, O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see in your 4-armed form with your helmeted head, like his kirita that is present there. With his kirita, with his club, wheel, conch, lotus flowers. I want to see you in that form. And then Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Maya prasannena tavarjune dam rupam param darshitam atma yogat tejo mayam vishwam anantamadyam yanme tvad anyena nadrashta purvam. He says, I have shown you by my internal potency this universal form. No one else has seen it before you. It's unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. Right? And this universal form is not just that somebody can study the Vedas, or somebody can perform sacrifices, somebody can perform charity, do some pious activities, do some tapasya. It is not through that it can be seen. Only those whom I allow it to be seen, they can see it. Okay. But then I recognize that you are perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. You can be free of all disturbances. So what does he do? Sanjaya says, Iti Arjunam Vasudeva Satotva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Asha Bhuyaha Ashvasayam Ashacha Bhitamenam Bhutva Pura Saumya Vapur Mahatma. This is a very, very crucial verse for all of you who are students of the Bhagavad Gita. At first glance, if you look through the Sanskrit, it doesn't appear, but then you'll get to understand slowly as we go through it. Having said this, Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, Sanjay Uvacha, Iti Arjunam Vasudeva Satoktva. Vasudeva Krishna, having thus spoken to Arjuna. Iti Arjuna Vasudeva Tatha Uktva, having spoken thus. Right? Swakam Rupam Darshayam Asha Bhuyaha. He displayed his 4-armed form. That is Swakam Rupam. What is the Swakam? His own form. And Darshayam, he showed Ashvasayam Ashacha Bhitamenam, and to give him his Ashwasan, or to give him confidence or encouragement, Bhutva Punaha Saumya Vapur Mahatma. He showed him his Saumya Vapu. a beautiful form. If the four-armed form, Arjuna asked for the four-armed form, and then he's giving the Swakam Rupam, again showing what does it mean? It's he has already shown the Swakam Rupam, but then what else is he showing? And this is where the Acharyas tell us, this Punaha Saumya Vapur Mahatma, this Punaha Saumya Vapur, what he's showcasing here is the two-handed form. So from the first he showed the four-handed form, and then he shows the two-handed form. And this is his original form. So this form is the one which Arjuna liked. So quite often we think about what is the original form of the Supreme Lord. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that this form, two-handed form of Krishna is the original form. And that is also the same statement that is given here in the Bhagavad Gita. And what was Arjuna's response? Drishtvedam manusham rupam tava soumyam janardana idanim asmi samvrittaha sacheta prakritim gataha. When Arjuna saw this form, he said, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. We are all followers of Arjuna, and therefore we should also strive to serve this two-handed form of Krishna. And now, the last two verses is what I want to emphasize upon. After Arjuna says this, Krishna says, Na aham veder na tapasa na dane na cha ijjaya shakya evam vido drashtum drashtvan asimam yatha. The form you are seeing with transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, etc. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. How can one see? Very explicitly, Krishna says, Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya. This is possible only through bhakti, through devotional service. Aham eva vido Arjuna. I can be understood only through bhakti. So, if you ever had questions, is it bhakti yoga? Is it jnana yoga? Is it karma yoga through which we can approach Krishna? Let us hear from Krishna's own mouth. He says, Bhaktya tu ananya. Only by unmixed devotional service. Ananyaya means there is no mixture of anything else. Pure devotional service. That I can be understood as I am standing before you. The two-handed form of Krishna, even the four-handed form, can be approached only through bhakti. And then Srila Prabhupada gives a lot of references for this. And he also says, Krishna says, Mat karma krit mat paramo mat bhakta sangha varjitaha nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yahasa mameti pandava. He says, he who in mat karma krit, he who is engaged in my work, mat paramo, considering me to be the supreme. And then mat bhaktaha, he is devoted to me, sangha varjitaha. He sets aside bad association. Bad association is all around us. You look at newspapers, you look at websites, you look at people on the road, it's all bad association. All bad association means that which does not help us go back to Krishna. So, Krishna is saying, he who engages in a pure devotional service, who is free from contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and is friendly to every living being. Yaha sa mam eti pandava. That person comes to me. Some person will say, sama means becomes one with me. But if you take care of the grammar and also the context, that person, it actually means attains Krishna Loka. It doesn't mean becoming one with the
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we are not able to hear you. Okay. Looks like some problem. Prabhuji will log in again. Can wait some time. I'm just calling Shamkun Prabhu. Just give me a few minutes.
Hare Krishna, sorry about it. I had an internet problem here. Any comments? Any thoughts from any of the devotees here? Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh,
Yes, Prabhu.
okay. So no comments, no questions. It means either the matter is too dense or you already knew most of this already. That's also okay.
And the questions are there, Prabhu, but probably people have left. So I think we can ask it next time.
Which question? Like somebody asked a question in the chat, is it?
No. I will ask next time.
You'll ask next time. Okay. You have the question already in your mind, or you need time to think about it?
No, basically, I was just going through the news, basically.
Uh-huh.
So that in Bangladesh, they have killed one.
Correct. Yeah.
So I was just thinking, I mean, if who is greater in case if somebody is doing bhakti, that person, or probably if someone who a soldier or anybody who is actually who is trying to protect that person and got killed or some in the process has not done any bhakti. So then
like say for example, like say somebody tried to protect a devotee or protect a deity or something like that. He has his own merit, and that merit, because of that merit, that person will be given very favorable circumstance to pursue bhakti in his future life, even if it's incomplete. Nobody can go back to the realm of the absolute truth until they have completely awakened their love for Krishna in a pristine form. That much is guaranteed. And so, like say for example, maybe in a country there is a soldier who's dying, or who may be killed in the war, etc. And this soldier, his intention of fighting in the war is, this is a land where people are following some dharma. And because they're following some dharma, they need protection. Let me be an instrument for that. Such a person, even if he passes away, he will be given a very favorable next body. After all, death is just changing of bodies. But there may be another soldier who is thinking that my country is great, I have to live here, etc. such a person is still in a little ignorance, who's just thinking in terms of my country, this border, me, you, etc. That the result there is very different. It is not necessarily getting connected to the absolute truth. So when in the consciousness that there is something related to the absolute truth, and I have to help in the protection of the jiva or that ideology, so to say, or the belief system also, so that more and more people can get access to it, then such a person gets a better destination, definitely.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, got it.
But like some other doubt comes when such news comes out. How can any like people, they can do harm to devotees? Devotees like will be protected, and the way the devotee was killed, like by 200 people, and then threw his body in the temple pond. So it was like very ghastly. And where is the Lord who is very protected to his devotees?
Well, you are talking about this year, 2021.
Yeah, just yesterday or day before.
Yesterday, correct. We are talking about this year, this October, whatever. 50.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But way back in 1500 AD, the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was personally present when Bengal was being ruled by the Muslim Nawabs. At that very same time, this persecution was also happening. It is not just now that it is happening, in a much grander scale, it was happening at that very same time. So the question can be even raised. Swayam Krishna is personally present in this world, and yet we are seeing that it's happening right when he's present on the planet. How can it happen? So the understanding we have here is, this is Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, all of us who are born here have been born in Kali Yuga because we all have some dark history behind us, and to just get purified, we are being born here. So it's very much expected here in Kali Yuga that this is going to happen. The only thing here is, it doesn't mean that we are quiet, like what Krishna told Arjuna. We have to fight for the right cause, to glorify Krishna and to protect Krishna's devotees. That is there. But we should not become bewildered by such activities, saying, where is Krishna in the middle of all of this? One of the reasons why I'm saying this is, we often give a lot of importance to that moment of death. That is one moment of death. Something happens to us, maybe it's a ghastly death. The soul is taken out and it goes to the next body. And probably the soul is sleeping for 6 months, 9 months, depending on which womb he gets into or which body he gets into. We focus on that moment of death. But what we should actually focus is the full lifetime, what we do, because that actually dictates the next body that we are going to get, or maybe no body at all. We'll go back to the spiritual world. So our consciousness has been indoctrinated by the world around us in such a way, we focus only on those few moments. I think we should rise beyond it to see it's not just death. We should see how we live. That is also important. So I'm not trying to trivialize it. It is a great problem that has happened. This is actually, whenever a devotee is being tormented, it is a sign of greater purification for all the tormentors who are there. It means they're most likely they are going to really get it in some way. But our goal here is not to say us versus them. They are suffering. Those tormentors, they will get suffering. We will be protected. That is not what we should be with. Our role is to say, even those who are tormenting us, may Krishna bless us bless them with the right consciousness. We are here for Sarva Bhuta. We are not here for this ism or that ism. Of course, just like a child needs correction, some of those who are doing these activities of killing people of other religions, etc., they need correction. But we should never have a disposition of wanting to kill them, tit for tat, etc. It may be required for them to reform, but not from a mood of revenge. Whatever is good that is required for them to change their consciousness, let it happen for them. That should be our mood.
Okay. Yeah. I got it.
Okay. I think it's 1.5 hours. We'll end here. Thank you very